Have you ever pulled out a skein of yarn and thought, why does it feel like it's been chilling with the popsicles? You might just be working on today's square. This one blooms icy right out of the granny itself. What's the weirdest place you've ever found or stored yarn? Freezer, glove box, bread box. I promise, Stella needs to know she's not the only one. Hey crochet friends, I'm Mo, your crochet companion. Today we're making the Icy Bloom Granny Square, a frosty motif with picot tipped arms that bloom up in 3D before settling into classic granny frame. It looks delicate, but it's totally beginner friendly once you see the flow. And stick around after the tutorial for the next Saga clue, the ice bloom. Stella swears this yarn has a cold chain of custody, and honestly, she might not be wrong. Okay, so for your material that you need, I use a worsted weight. I use the I love this yarn. I absolutely do love this yarn, and my favorite is actually the solid color with the little silver tinsel through it. I did that for both the blue and the white. You can use one color if you want to. I actually like the contrast of the two colors myself, so that's pretty much that. And then I used a 5mm hook, which is the equivalent to an H. Oh, and you'll need some scissors and a darning needle. Okay, we are ready to get started. So we're actually going to start with a magic circle, and then we're going to work 16 double crochets into the ring. And this is going to be our sturdy little snowflake hub. The icy core, everything else will grow from. So to do the magic circle, we're going to place the end of the yarn toward us, wrap it around our fingers, go up and over. We're going to go under the first strand, grab the second strand and pull it up just a slight bit, and we're going to grab that, as you can see from here. And I actually use the stacking stitch as my first double crochet, so I'm going to do a chain of 1, single crochet, and in the vertical bar I'm going to do another single crochet. That's what creates the stacking stitch, and now you've got your first double crochet. So then we're going to do another 15 double crochets in that magic circle. And for those of you who do not know how to do a double crochet, I do have a beginner's masterclass that covers everything from chaining to single crochet to a treble even, and then some of your most common beginner mistakes. So 2, 4, 5, I think 2, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so I'm going to finish up my 16 double crochets, and I'll be back with you in a jiffy. Okay, so now that we have crocheted 16 double crochets over those 2 strands of your magic circle, now we're going to pull that thread tight, not too tight. You still want it to breathe. Don't strangle it like your hair tie when you put it up in a ponytail. All right, now we're going to do a slip stitch in that first stacking stitch that we created. And that completes your first round. All right, so round 2, we're going to create our loop foundation. So we're going to do a chain of 1, a single crochet in that same space. And then we're going to do a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, single crochet, or skip stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. all the way around. So these loops, they're like scaffolding the base where the arms of the snowflake will grow. And I'm going to go ahead and finish my round, and I will be right back to you. Okay, so the last stitch there should be a chain of 3, and then we're going to slip stitch in that first single crochet. All right, and there you have it. You have your foundation for your next round, which is round 3. So in round 3, what I'm going to have you do, we're going to slip stitch in that next space. Going to have you do a chain of 1. We're going to do another single crochet in that same space, and we're going to finish it off with a stacking stitch. So we're going to do another single crochet in that vertical bar, creating your first double crochet. From there, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the base of your first picot, and we're going to put our stitch in that stacking stitch. So we're going to put it in both of those bars right there. Do a slip stitch that creates your first picot. Well, maybe. We're going to do that again 2 more times. So single crochet, chain of 3 in this bar and this bar. So it's basically the front loop of the double crochet and then the vertical bar of the double crochet. We're going to complete a slip stitch, creating that second picot. We're going to do that 1 more time. So a double crochet, chain 3 for your picot in those bars right there, and slip stitch. 1 more double crochet. That completes the double crochet, picot, double crochet, picot, double crochet, picot, and double crochet. So that finishes the first spot of your chain space, your chain 3 space. We're going to do the same thing in each one. So you're going to do 3 double crochets, picot, double crochet, picot, double crochet, until you have 3 picots and 4 double crochets in each space around. This is basically where the bloom begins. Each arm gets an icy little spike thanks to that picot tip. I believe I have 1 more picot here and then a double crochet, and then we're going to continue doing the same thing in each space until you have 3 picots and 4 double crochets in each space around. I will visit you at the end of the row. Okay, so we got to the end of our row. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do a slip stitch in that same stacking stitch at the very top. Do a slip stitch right there. Okay, so now we're ready to go into round 4. Okay, let's get you started. So we're going to do a chain of 1, which I've already done, and we're going to do a slip, actually not a slip stitch, a single crochet in the first picot right in the middle. So let me do that again. We're just doing a chain of 1, then we're going to do a single crochet right in that very first picot, right smack dab in the middle. Then we do a chain of 3. Technically we're doing a chain of 4, but I'm breaking it down here a little bit for you so that you can tell the difference between the chain of 3 and the picot. So now we begin a 3-part picot. So there's a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to hold it right there at that 3rd chain and do another chain of 3. In the 3rd stitch or the 3rd chain from the hook, I'm going to do a slip stitch. Then we're going to do another chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do a slip stitch in the 4th chain from the hook. Then we're going to do 3 more chains. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook. We're going to do one more slip stitch, and that's in the very first spot that we did the very first picot. So 1, 2, 3, you see that? That's the third chain. So in the fourth chain, we're going to do a slip stitch again. Then we're going to do a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip this picot, and in the next picot, we're going to do a single crochet. And that completes your first arm of your snowflake. Let's do that again. I'm going to skip over to this next space that we were doing. We're going to do a single crochet in that first picot. Okay, let me go a little bit closer here to finish this arm, or to complete this arm. So we're going to do a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to grab that third chain. 1, 2, 3 more. Slip stitch in the third chain from the hook. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in the fourth chain from the hook. Chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in the third chain from the hook. And then one more slip stitch in that fourth chain from the snowflake. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in that spot. 3 more chains. 1, 2, 3. Skip this picot. And in the next picot, right smack in the middle, we're going to do another single crochet. We're going to keep doing that all the way around until we get to this side over here. Okay? Okay, we're on our last arm. We're going to put our single crochet in that last picot, and then we're going to slip stitch in that very first single crochet that we did. And there you go. This is the frosted lace detail. Think of this as the ice crystals branching out, making the motif shimmer, which I just find this so fun. We're going to go ahead and snip our yarn, pull that through, and then we're going to start on round 5, which means we are actually going to be adding our next color yarn and start on our granny, making it more into a granny. Okay, on to the color change. So this one I'm going to take a little bit of time to kind of explain where we're going. So here we have our round 2, and then we did those chains for round 1, and then round 2 we did those chains with a single crochet. What we are going to do is that single crochet that we made in those alternating stitches, we are going to use that as our placement for our color, okay? But we're going to go into the back. So we're going to grab that single crochet in the back, okay? So I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. I've almost lost it. So I'm going to go in the back. I'm going to insert my hook there so I can see where I'm putting my hook. I'm going to grab my next yarn. I'm going to pull that up, create a chain of 1. Then I'm going to do a stacking stitch in that same spot. So it's a single crochet. Then we're going to do that second single crochet on top of that vertical bar. Pop that in there. And that is going to be the first DC of your V stitch. We're going to chain 1 and do another double crochet in that single. Wow, I am really struggling with my words today. So we're going to do another double crochet in that single crochet, the same space. So we're doing a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that same single crochet on that round 2. Okay, then we do another chain of 1. We're going to pop over here to the next spot. So we did it in that spot, so we're going to go to this spot right here. So I'm going to insert my hook from the back to the front, grab that single crochet, pull it to the back so that I can see where I'm going. Actually, we're just going to do a double crochet. So that's the yarn over, insert a hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain of 1 and another double crochet in that same space. Chain 1. Then we're going to the next space. So we were just in this one, so we're going to this one. Now we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that chain single crochet space. Oh my goodness, what is wrong with my words today? A double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that single crochet. Chain 1, and we're going to keep doing that in every single one of those single crochets from round 2. And I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so I wanted to show you what it looks like from this side. So I've got a V-stitch in every single one of those single crochets. And on the back side, what we're going to do is we're going to do one more chain 1, single crochet in that stacking stitch at the very top of that stacking stitch that we did at the beginning. All right, let's take a minute to appreciate this. So as you can see, this is kind of like a magic trick. By anchoring into those earlier stitches, the snowflake pops in 3D while the granny frame grows behind it. So you see kind of a 3D pattern, right? And see how the snowflake lifts right off the base? That's the bloom in the ice bloom. It looks like frosty and a little 3D. And that's exactly where you need to be. Kind of cool, right? Let's go back a little bit so you can appreciate it a little bit more. Kind of cool. All right, so we are heading into the next round is actually very simple. We are actually starting into our granny, the basic, normal, everyday granny. So for this, how I set it up, I do a chain of 1, put a single crochet in that first V, do another stacking stitch on top of that first single crochet in that vertical bar. Let me go a little bit closer. Then we're going to do another 2 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in the same V stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 1, go to the next V stitch, 3 double crochets in the next V stitch, chain 1, and in the next one we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Oh, hold on, I gotta go rescue my pup. She got herself all tangled up in something. 1, 2, oh. Gotta rescue the puppy. She got herself all tangled up. Gotta get her all squared away. She's such a precious baby. Yeah. All right, you okay now? Yeah, you okay now? It's okay if I go back to what I was doing, huh? Are we approved to go back to work? Little intermission there. Sorry about that. Okay, so we were on our second double crochet. And there's the third one. So that's kind of where it's looking like. So we do 3 double crochets, chain of 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next, chain 1, and then back and forth. So we're going to do a couple of these. So we're going to alternate these until we get to the end. So the next one, we do the chain of 1, 3 double crochets, chain of 1, and then the next one we do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in the same V stitch, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, we made it to the end of the row. Gonna stick our slip stitch in our stacking stitch. Gonna do so this one's a little bit different. We're gonna do a slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, and in the next chain space, gonna chain 1, single crochet, stacking stitch in the vertical bar, double crochet another 2 times, chain of 2, 3 double crochets in that same space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next chain space. And let me show you that here as soon as I get done with that, and then chain 1. So what I mean by chain space is that chain 1 space, we're going to do 3 double crochets in that, chain 1, 3 double crochets in that, back to the corner we do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then we keep going that way all the way around. And from here, it's pretty much smooth sailing, just classic granny rounds while your snowflake stays floating on top like frosted lace. And that's it. You've got the Ice Bloom Granny Square, a snowflake-inspired design that blooms right out of the granny base, perfect for winter blankets, frosty afghans, or anytime you want a motif that sparkles back at you. Now, if you're heading out, thank you for joining me. And I bid you adieu until next time. Don't get cold feet over frosty stitches, and happy crocheting. But if you're sticking around for the saga, grab your mittens. Stella just found something in her yarn skein that's colder than it has any right to be. Welcome back, Stitch Sleuths. Tutorials wrapped up. Blocking mats are doing their quiet yoga. And the corkboard, may it rest in chaotic peace, is taking up half my wall. In case you've joined the after party late, we currently have 4 tiny sun stitch markers in a neat row, each scratched with a 4. A stitch counter glaring 16 like it's carved from a stone, and a postage stamp clue that reads R16C4 under a header Stella hand-lettered in a mood. Speaks in stitches. From the last episode's craft night, we added center replacement live. That's the neon popcorn flower that appeared in Stella's lap while all of us were looking right at her. And the chrome signature, a hair-thin metallic filament that winked at us like a conspiracy. And because life is generous with material, our continued error is now canon. It turns out both Lila and Linda are freezer fanatics. Lila texts photos of her chest freezer like a baby announcement in episode 1. Linda rolled a discount freezer into her kitchen in episode 2. You might think this is normal adulting. Stella thinks it's a secret society. 2 suspects, 2 freezers, she said this morning, taping the corkboard with a pen capped like a dagger. That's not coincidence. That's climate control. I said, or Costco. She ignored me and added a new label under the photos. Freezer Sisterhood. Strings everywhere. If the FBI ever raids my house, they're going to assume I've been investigating Santa Claus. Tonight's square for the channel is a snowflake motif. Airy, delicate, very January wedding invitation. I was looking forward to a calm shoot. Crisp stitches, quiet counts, no dramatic monologues about appliances. Then Stella arrived with her yarn bag zipped to its eyebrows. A lope necklace like jewelry with an agenda. And a ceramic mug that reads, Trust No Not, in a font legally classified as shouty. Today we test the cold chain, she announced. We crochet, I countered, because I like pretending I run this show.
We recorded the tutorial. Gentle camera move. Close up on that first ring. The whole serene vibe. And then I cut. Smiled for the nice people and said, "All right, if you stayed for the mystery, settle in." Which is when Stella picked up her skein. Icy blue, soft halo, and made a sound I can only describe as audible italics. "Cold," she said. I laughed. I touched the skein. I stopped laughing. It was cold. Not, "we keep the thermostat low," not, "my house is drafty" kind of cold. Actually cold. The label had a faint sheen. The outer layer of the yarn felt damp, the way a soda can sweats on a picnic table. "Why is your yarn refrigerated?" I asked, because sometimes the obvious is all you've got. "It isn't," she said, eyes bright. "It's been tampered. This is condensation sabotage." "Or somebody left it in a car overnight?" "Or somebody," she said, "removed it from a freezer minutes ago, delivered it, and assumed I wouldn't notice the dew point on my destiny." I did the thing I do when the room feels like a courtroom. I got the kitchen scale and the instant read thermometer because if we're going to spiral, we might as well collect data on the way down. Stella, deeply satisfied to be seen, cleared his space like a lab tech. We set the yarn on the scale. "Baseline weight for this yardage should be," she began, launching into a 3-minute monologue about grams, humidity, and how she weighed a skein before and after blocking to prove a point at craft night. Point proved, friends lost, friendships repaired with cookies. I held up a hand. "What does it weigh right now?" 2 grams heavy," she said, scandalized. "That's moisture or malice." We prodded the skein with a thermometer like we were giving it a flu shot. The readout blinked, 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Stella smiled, a small, alarming smile. "Freezer Sisterhood," she said. "Cold chain of custody." I did my narrator duty and text the group chat. "Random question for science. Does anyone here ever chill yarn on purpose?" Lila replied in 3 seconds flat. "Yes, keeps it fresh, less fuzz, fewer moths, also aesthetic." 6 snowflakes, a penguin, and a sparkle. A beat later, Linda chimed in. "Same, plus it's right next to the ice cream. Efficient." Marcy, who understands branding, sent a photo of her very normal freezer with the caption, "Mine stores dignity." I showed Stella. She nodded as if a jury had just returned a verdict. "They've confessed," she said. "To what?" I asked. "To living?" "To refrigeration," she said darkly, and unspooled a yard of cold skein as if pulling tape from a crime scene. About 2 yards in, her hook snagged on something that was not fibrous. She loosened the strand. Out slid a tiny crocheted snowflake, no bigger than a quarter. White thread, picot points, neat as eyelashes, 6 arms radiating with fussy pride. I will tell you the truth. It was objectively beautiful. The kind of thing you make once, post, and then never attempt again because you have a life. Stella held it under the lamp with tweezers from her forensic case. "It's a plant," she whispered. "A calling card." She set it on a sheet of black paper like a jeweler, laying out pearls. "Count with me." "Must we?" "We must," she said, and began. "Chains to start. 4. Double crochets in each arm. 2 per side. That's 4 per arm. Times 6 arms, 24. picots, one at the top of each arm. 6. She scribbled numbers. 4 plus 24 plus 6 equals 34. She frowned, crossed out the 4. Or do we discount the initial chains? Then it's more math. 30. She circled 30 with a flourish. That's a date. The 30th. Of which month? I said, specifically to be irritating. She tapped R16C4 on the corkboard. Row 16, column 4, 16 appears everywhere. The Expo's main stage program starts at 4. The keynote is on the 16th. The snowflake says 30. That's either the 30th minute or the 30th day, or, she leaned forward, it's letting us choose wrong on purpose. So, it's not a clue? It's your choose your own adventure? I said. She narrowed her eyes at the snowflake like it had asked to copy her homework. It's a countdown dressed as decor. We took a breath. I made tea. Hydration is my coping mechanism. Don't at me. While I steeped, Stella did snowflake forensics, which involved weighing the flake, a gram, and some eco, testing its bend, springy, not brittle, not pre-frozen, long, and inspecting the knots with her loop, and sewn with a needle finer than cents. She draped it over her hand and frowned. This thread isn't from any brand I own. The twist is different. I put on my best detective show face. So the saboteur has fancy thread? Or access to a shop we don't use, she said. Or a stash in the Arctic. I text Lila a follow-up. Purely hypothetical. If someone were to put a snowflake into a skein, how would they do it without me noticing? Lila replied, Oh, sleight of hand. I saw a TikTok once where they followed a 5-step plan that included distraction via charm bracelet and polite sneeze. I chose not to show that to Stella. She added the snowflake to the board under a new header, Ice Bloom Clue, a line to Chrome Signature, a line to R16C4, a red box around the freezer photos. It looked like a treasure map made by an overachieving librarian. Why are we like this? I asked the ceiling. Because we're right, she said calmly. To test just how theatrical the sabotage could get, we staged a micro experiment. I set a second skein from my stash, room temperature, absolutely not secretly brined, on the table. We both watched it for a full minute in reverent silence. It did not chill. It did not sneeze snowflakes. The kettle clicked. My neighbor's car beeped. Somewhere, a dog considered it bark and changed its mind. The skein remained aggressively normal. Control group, Stella said with the satisfaction of a scientist who has named a variable. Then she did a thing that made me both proud and terrified. She called Linda. Hi, sweetheart, Linda said in that Sunday school teacher voice that could soothe a goose. Do you need more ice cream? I need information, Stella said gravely. Tell me about your freezer. There was a pause on the line. You could hear Linda rewiring her expectations. It's white, it hums, it keeps peas polite. Do you store yarn in it? Oh, only occasionally, Linda said. Delicates, lace, before blocking, it helps them behave. Stella blinked. Who taught you that? Pinterest, Linda said sweetly. And Lila. She has a whole system with lavender packets. Smells like a glacier married a sock drawer. Do you put snowflakes inside skeins? Stella asked. Silence. A smile in the silence. Is that a trick question? Linda said. It's a trap, I mouthed at the phone. Linda laughed. No, dear. I don't put anything in skeins except needles when I lose them and say I didn't. Is this about your popcorn? Different crime, Stella said and hung up, satisfied and unsatisfied in equal measure. Then she called Lila. Tell me about your freezer. Lila was delighted. Okay, so I got the chest freezer because it was on sale, and then I realized I could organize the whole top layer with bins. I labeled them Sock Lace Mystery. You have not known serenity until you see a bin labeled Mystery in a freezer. Do you pre-chill yarn before gifting it? Stella asked. Sometimes it keeps it perky, Lila said. Also, the surprise when you hand somebody a cool skein. Iconic. Do you put snowflakes inside? Oh my gosh, should I? Is this a new thing? I could make microflakes. Do you want some? Stella hung up before Lila crowdsourced a trend. Both of them, she said to the corkboard. 2 freezers, 2 habits, 1 cold chain. She underlined Freezer Sisterhood again, even though the marker squeaked disapproval. We returned to the skein. It had warmed a bit, the way objects do when you stop glaring at them. She rewound the outer layers carefully. Listen, she said. I don't hear anything, I said. It's the silence of the thaw, she said. I checked the thermometer again. 59 degrees Fahrenheit. It's almost room temp. Because we're losing time, she said. Some people read tarot. Stella reads temperature. To calm us both, I made a show of drying my hands on a towel and wiping the table. That's when I noticed it. My project bag. Canvas, ordinary, the color of oatmeal. It felt clammy. The strap left a cool stripe on my palm. A single bead of condensation clung to the seam and slid, fat and indecent, onto the wood. I stared at it. It sat like a punctuation mark. Stella didn't gloat. She simply handed me a push pin like a nurse handing over consent forms. I pinned a new label. Secondary frost event. Then drew a line to ice bloom clue, because at this point the board will unionize if I don't honor cross-references. We sat with the weird. I sipped tea. Stella considered the snowflake like it had personally voted against her. The house hummed, innocent or smug depending on your worldview. Okay, she said finally, because an episode has to end somewhere. Let's talk what it means instead of what it feels like. Stella clicked into lecture mode, so smoothly it was almost comforting. Pattern of escalation, she said, tapping each clue in turn. Suns, bright, public, cheerful, taunt. Popcorn, bold, visible, textured as spectacle. Metallic thread, hidden signature, chrome under the fluff. Snowflake, cold, delicate, precise, and, she circled the numbers, informational. Informational? I repeated because it sounded delicious. The snowflakes count can be read 3 ways, she said, writing them out with satisfying finality. 1. 16 and 4 appear again, aisle and booth at the expo. The E in the filament stands for expo. 2. 30 appears if you read the flake as total decorative units. 6 arms, 4 decor counts per arm, etc. That's either the 30th or the 30 minutes past the hour. 3. The flake itself says odd versus even. A sly response to my flower's popcorns being 12, and even will. It's meta. It's rude. Or, I said because I like to keep one foot on the ground, even if the ground is made of glitter. It's a person who really likes tiny thread. Why not both? She said. She faced the camera, the real one, not the cozy, and did her on-record voice, the one that's equal parts theater and thesis. To the Freezer Sisterhood, she said, and to the saboteur hiding in their ice boxes. Thaw while you can, because when the expo lights hit, aisle 16, booth 4, 30 past the hour if you want to be literal. I will not just crochet. I will expose. I raised a hand. Small note. Please do not threaten the expo. She softened, turned to me, and the intensity melted like popsicle in July. I mean, I'm going, she said. I'm not letting them narrate my narrative. You are the narrator, I said, by union rules. We packed up. She tucked the snowflake into a clear sleeve like evidence. I slid Chrome Signature into the same folder, which made me feel like I'd married 2 clues and given them a hyphenated last name. The corkboard looked, honestly, good. Wild, but good. 4 suns smiling like a chorus line. The stitch counter still set at 16, stubborn as superstitious. R16C4 glowing smugly. Ice bloom clue, freshly pinned. Secondary frost event, hanging off the bottom like a footnote that threatens to become a chapter. Halfway to the door, Stella paused. One more thing, she said, and rummaged in her bag. She produced a handful of ridiculous items. A thermometer strip, a penlight, a shrink-wrapped desiccant packet, and a small zip-top bag of silica gel. For my yarn, she said, as if this were aspirin. It's either evidence or humidity. Either way, we're prepared. Please don't sprinkle silica gel at the expo, I said. I won't, she promised, then added, unless necessary. At the threshold, she turned back to the camera because of course she did. If you are the saboteur, she said, voice low and oddly fond. Your popcorn is tidy. Your snowflakes are cruel. Your metal glints. But I see your math. And your freezers. I'm not scared of the cold. She left with the calm of a person who has chosen a battlefield and ordered snacks. The door clicked. The room exhaled. The kettle, because it loves drama, chose that exact second to sigh. I looked at my bag. A fresh bead of condensation formed at the seam and rolled down like a punctuation mark selecting its sentence. I looked at you. So, I said, either our town is full of kind, generous people with robust appliance budgets, or Stella's about to embarrass a secret society of very organized ice cream enthusiasts. The corkboard said nothing, which was wise. The snowflake glittered. The suns grinned. The stitch counter refused to count. And somewhere, because I'm a narrator and I enjoy symbolism, a fridge hummed like a choir. Next episode, we test the hypothesis with frost math and a map of expo floor. I am buying mittens, not because they'll help, just because I like a theme. If you stayed after the tutorial, you're my favorite kind of person. If you are the saboteur, your timing is excellent. See you under the lights.